having a healthy blend between work and the professional life is really important. Another way that we can do that is also use digital calendars and apps like Asana or Trello. Um, I mentioned before that I use a calendar. I integrate my calendar into my website. Some people use another app called Calendly to make sure that they have time, bookable time. But other tools like Monday.com or Asana or Trello, they use these tools to manage time and tasks effectively. Or guess what? If you don't have these sophisticated applications, a simple Excel spreadsheet or a book and a sheet, a table on a physical to-do list, but the important thing is whatever you are using, stick to it. By planning your day really meticulously and eliminating time-wasting activities, you can manage or make significant progress towards your goals of having more time for either work or personal life. And I can tell you personally that I have seen this work in my own life.
Again, thank you for collaboration with Motivate Community. This is a part of virtual book tour. And as you said, it is a last thing for this season. I'm really happy to have two beautiful speakers tonight. Is Dr. Stephanie Fletcher and Winfried Reid. So we have a very, very good topics for tonight. And we are going to start first with Dr. Stephanie. She will talk about work-life harmony and balance. It is very important thing. I think we all need that in this fast-moving world. A lot of information is coming, a lot of obligations we have, a lot of responsibilities. So I guess I know it is very important to have, and I know it's really hard to achieve work-life balance. So yes, Jennifer, if you want, you can give a little more introduction.
Thank you, Darko. Welcome back to another wonderful interview with our authors on this year's virtual book tour. Our theme is sharing stories to impact our world. And today we have two wonderful dynamic authors, versatile individuals who will be presenting on different topics. And so we welcome them and we thank again the Motivate community for partnering with Activate Core to launch this year's virtual book tour on your platform. It has just been wonderful. We have had wonderful speakers on this platform, and we are so grateful for your partnership. So thank you once more. And at this time, I turn over to Dr. Stephanie Fletcher-Lartley. Go ahead. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. What a beautiful introduction. I just want to thank Darko and Jennifer and for the team for the invitation to be here today. I'm really excited to be sharing with you on this very important topic. And I just want to greet everyone who is online. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Stephanie Fletcher-Lartley. I wear many hats, and I think that's going to be an important part of my sharing today. I kind of figure out that's part of the reason why I resonated really well with this topic. So I want to just jump straight into it as we delve into this topic about work-life harmony. And today I wanted to share a few of the strategies that I believe have worked for me and many other people that I know. But as we're sharing today, I really would love to hear your ideas, because there might be something that you've done that's helped you that we haven't heard as yet, and that will be a great addition to our toolkit of strategies. All right. So we're going to be looking at some strategies for fulfilling career and personal life goals. All right. So I'm joining you live from Sydney, Australia, and I'm super thrilled to be here. And I hope that, as we talk today, that you will be part of. I'd love to hear your stories as well as we speak today. Now, I want to dive deep into this, and I want to see how some of the strategies that I will be sharing could help, might impact you or someone in, a lot of people are having very hectic lifestyles nowadays. People are trying to just do the work, being parents, moms, and so on. And it can be difficult. Like personally, I wear many different hats, and we'll share a little bit more about that as we go along. I think the first point I wanted to share today as we discuss about work-life harmony is we need to understand what it is we're talking about. Work-life harmony refers to this idea that both professional ambitions and personal life can actually coexist synergistically, right? One of the myths that people sometimes share about this is that balance means spending equal amount of time on work and on personal activities. But in reality, harmony really varies based on individual circumstances or based on people's individuality. Harmony for me will look different harmony for me will look different from harmony for Jennifer or for Winifred or for Darko, right? Now, there's a study conducted by Harvard Business Review that suggests that employees who believe they have good work-life balance, they work 21% harder. How amazing is that? that those people who believe they have struck a balance between their work and their profession and their personal life, these people actually work harder. And I think we probably will find out, or I don't know whether we will come to that conclusion at the end of this talk, but I'd love to hear your thoughts when we finish today about what you think, if this is something that is actually achievable. Now, as I mentioned when I introduced myself earlier, that I wear many different hats. I'm a wife, I'm a mom of 4 kids, and I have one under 10 and 3 over 16. So you can understand. But I also do several other things. And for those of you who see me on social media, or you follow me in my writings or my podcast, you know, I have a very active podcast. I'm a preacher, I'm a teacher, I'm a singer, I'm a songwriter, I'm a transformational coach. I mentor people. I also have a full-time job outside of all of this. All right, 9 to 5. So I've learned over the years, though, that there actually can be a balance between what all these many things that I do, and if you do it all as part of an overall template or a part of the tapestry of your life. So I'm going to say that up front, that everything I do, I kind of just see it all as one big thing. And there are days when I put different things in different buckets, but it helps me to see it all as just me doing different activities at different times of the day and at different times in my life. All right. So once we've understood what work-life harmony is, and as I said, everybody has their own way of seeing this harmony. The next thing I really believe is important is that we should know our core values, because our core values are those fundamental beliefs and principles that guide our behavior, our decisions, and our interactions. These represent what is most important to us, and they are the foundations upon which our character and our integrity is built on. So the first step in understanding this harmony is really to understand what really matters most to you. You know, what are the non-negotiables? What areas of my life I am not willing to negotiate on, whether this is my personal life or in my professional life. And for those who've heard me speak before, I think you know that there are certain things that are very critical in my own life that I do not compromise on. And what one of my books called The Professional Believer's Guide, I actually talk about the importance of people living their life or their faith-based life, their spiritual life, as a whole, and not really segmenting it and calling this part, and the other part. It's me. I am me, whether I'm in the temple or I'm in the place where I'm doing the non-spiritual or non-religious activities, but I am a person, and the things that I do are activities conducted by one person. So I believe that our core values are really critical, and they demonstrate that aspect of consistency and authenticity. And when we adhere to our core values, this ensures that we have consistency and authenticity in our actions. It basically, we're being true to who we are, helping us to build trust and credibility, whether we're at home or abroad. Ensuring our personal and professional choices align with our core values really creates a kind of harmony and reduces internal conflict that leads to greater satisfaction in both areas of life. And again, I believe that that's something that I do. My core values align with what I do, whether people are seeing me or they're not seeing me. And so even the very jobs that I seek, the things that I do for money, they must align with my core values, because that is how I get fulfillment and joy from what I do. Our core values also serve as a compass and a guide to our decisions that ensures that our career path is in alignment with our own personal and professional ethics. One of the things I like to say to people is, if what I do at work does not give me joy, that when I go home, I can talk about it, it's not worth doing. So our core values must be like the beacon, the guiding light that guides how we do both. And that is one of the critical aspects of bringing them together in harmony. The third thing I want to mention is around time management. So now we've understood what this harmony is and that there's a foundation that is built on core values. The next important thing is really around effective time management. When you are as busy as I am, effective time management is critical. It involves setting priorities, avoiding procrastination, and fostering high impact activities as a focus, right? Many people have different strategies that they use for time management. There's a technique called the Eisenhower matrix or the time blocking to prioritize tasks. And this really is about organizing the activities that we do and prioritizing them based on their urgency and importance. Many years ago, when I worked as an epidemiologist, was the very first time one of my colleagues introduced me to this issue of this square, and we do a square and we draw a line down the middle horizontally and another one vertically. And what I would do is, on the first one at the top left would be urgent and important. On the top right would be important but not urgent. The bottom one would be urgent but not important, and the other side would be neither urgent nor important. And I started to just put my work into this. We had this black with this whiteboard in our room. I worked with another epidemiologist, and I started to realize that we became more efficient. And one of the things that I realized was in this activity is that there are lots of urgent and important things that are not necessarily urgent for me, but it could be urgent for my organization. And because of the role that I play, then it has to become urgent for me because of the importance. It's something like developing a brief or doing something that's critical. I worked in emergency context, right? So sometimes it's important also that as we are putting things in their respective urgent and important buckets, that we decide, who is it urgent for? Is it urgent for me or is it urgent for someone else? For example, as a mom, I have children. And so my child may have an assignment that's due tomorrow. And they need me to review that. And I have to do a talk today. Their assignment is urgent for them and it's important for them. But I have an urgent and important activity to do now. This is where the prioritization really comes in. Determining what do you prioritize, because my child might need my assistance to review something, or it could be something like sickness. So sometimes it may not necessarily be that important for you, but because of the urgency, it ends up going into that bucket. And so being able to identify and prioritize tasks based on their urgency and their importance helps you to really not majoring in things that do not really demand or require so much of your time. But it's also important to understand about delegation, because something might be urgent and important, but I don't necessarily have to do it. I can delegate this to one of the older children or to my partner because they might be able to step in the gap. It also means that I have dealt with it, but I am not necessarily the one who has physically done it. Or I could give some instructions about how to do this, and someone else could follow through in providing that assistance that I don't physically have to do. I'd love to hear from you. I would love to ask you to maybe type in the chat some of the ideas about how you manage your time. What are some of the strategies you do to manage your time? And I'll read them out at the end. All right. As we continue, and I'm going to come back, I'd love to hear about how you're managing your time, is creating boundaries. It's so important to create boundaries. Boundaries for yourself, for colleagues, for family, around your availability and your time limits. I used to really struggle with this. I was so busy helping everyone else, looking after everybody else's business. There was a time in my life, everybody had a need. It was Stephanie. It was me. And what I realized was, I'm the kind of person, I will drop whatever I'm doing and go and look after everybody else's business. And then I came back and my pile was this high. And I started to learn that if I was going to be able to serve others and serve myself, I really had to put up these boundaries. And one of the things I did was I got a calendar. People can't just call me anytime or just rock up anytime at my door and, call me with really heavy lifting stuff and expect me to drop everything. So now I've got a calendar. You need me in my time that I'm available, and in my calendar, I have slotted out time that is bookable. The rest of the time, you don't touch it. That's my time to do my stuff with my family. Yes, unless it is something that is urgent, 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 that's an emergency, I may take something out of that time. But that is time that I have quarantined. That means you can't get me in that time unless that's a life and death situation, literally. So it's important that we are cordoning off time, quarantining time for us to be able to spend. And that will help you also to be more calm and less stressed over the assignments and the activities that you need to do. All right. So here we have a few comments that are coming from some of the listeners. One person says, I also use the Eisenhower matrix and the time blocking. Another person saying, making a list of tasks and then doing them based on their importance. Another person says they create boundaries. This is really important for us as we are trying to create this balance. And oftentimes what I find is that it's really not that difficult to isolate time to do activities if you are intentional about it. My third point that I wanted to make was creating flexible but firm schedules. So yes, as I said, it's important to have these time blocks that are dedicated to, whether it's working on some personal time or family time, etc. But as I mentioned before, it's important to also allow a little bit of flexibility in there. So while our schedules are going to give us some structure, it's crucial to remain adaptable to unexpected changes. All right. When we are overly rigid and inflexible, that can also add to the stress in our lives. Work-life integration is probably one of my most effective way of creating harmony in my life. This strategy is I blend my professional responsibilities with my personal life. I mean, I have about 10, 15 different key activities that I do, right? So, for example, when I'm going to work in the morning, if there's something like a podcast or any learning activity that I do, I'm traveling to work. In that travel time, I am listening to a podcast, and I probably will mention something about that. Well, in terms of my continual learning, I listen to my trainings or activities. If there's something I need to catch up on, I do it in that time in my 50 or 1 hour commute. I'm catching up on maybe a meeting that I missed. I might want to listen to the recording or in between meetings. If I'm traveling from one place to the other for a meeting and I need to catch up on something that I can listen to, I will do it in that period of time. So that's not a wasted period of time. But it also means that I can also set aside some time in a slow period or a down period. And you might be wondering, do you really have a down period? Well, there might be a down period at work where I'm having a break from something when I might, chase up on a chore, which is a personal chore that I could actually do in that period of time, because that is allowed. And it's not really stealing time because you are actually reciprocating that in your personal time of catching up on work activities. So having a healthy blend between work and the professional life is really important. Another way that we can do that is also use digital calendars and apps like Asana or Trello. um, I mentioned before that I use a calendar. I integrate my calendar into my website. Some people use another app called Calendly to make sure that they have time, bookable time. But other tools like Monday.com or Asana or Trello, they use these tools to manage time and tasks effectively. Or guess what? If you don't have these sophisticated applications, a simple Excel spreadsheet or a book and a table on a physical to-do list, but the important thing is whatever you are using, stick to it. By planning your day really meticulously and eliminating time-wasting activities, you can manage or make significant progress towards your goals of having more time for either work or personal life. And I can tell you personally that I have seen this work in my own life. The fourth point I wanted to make was self-care and personal assessment. Self-care and personal fulfillment is really, really important. As we are trying to seek balance between our work and our personal life, it's really important that we are taking care of ourselves. This is an area in my life that I never really paid much attention to in the past because I was busy doing so many things and I would oftentimes ignore that self-care part of life. I have become more aware of that over time and that it's so critical and so important to balance self-care as we're busy doing everything else. Your physical and mental health must be a priority because without the physical health and the mental health, the other things are actually not done at the optimum or at the optimal level that you'd like to see that. Regular exercise and sleep and mindfulness practices can enhance productivity and satisfaction. I'll share a quick story with you. Some time ago, I embarked on a journey of weight loss and to become more physically active in my life. I remember I'm one of those people that, I'm like a bunny. I'm always going, 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 going. And I always felt like I didn't have time to exercise because I was always too tired or I had so many other things to do. And I remember when I decided that I was going to bring physical activity as a routine part of my life, I went out and I started it. Not only did I integrate it seamlessly in my life, it became such a fulfilling activity. I literally exercise every single day of the week, right? And some weeks I may take a rest day or two. However, it's a rest day because I'm resting. But what I also found out though was that mentally I was so sharp and alert from all the physical activity. I was so much more productive, so much more, in sync with what was happening around me, the mindfulness. I was so mindful of things. I was so switched on. My energy was just so amazing because now my physical activity had impacted on my mental and emotional health. Sleep is really critical, and this is an area that sometimes we often overlook. Having adequate amount of rest and sleep, just that downtime when the brain is not working. And as I'm mentioning sleep, it's really important to get rid of the mobile phones. I remember the days when I used to literally go to bed with my mobile phone by my bedside table. I have stopped doing that for several years now. I actually take my mobile phone, I leave it in the bathroom. I actually put sleep on. And if you call me after a certain time, I will not pick my phone up because guess what? It will not ring. You cannot get me after my sleep time. I have deliberately done that. And I noticed that not only do I sleep much better, it means I'm not interrupted. And every time there's a ping, I run to grab the phone. I wonder who is messaging me because there's this temptation like, oh, it must be important. So take some time, get rid of your phone, set these boundaries around what you will allow in your life when it is your time for rest. Engaging in hobbies and interests is another area that can really rejuvenate you. I'm a singer, I'm a reader, I write. I find that when I write, it makes me come alive. One of the things I do is journaling as well. And I see some comments coming in. I want to hear some of the self-care and personal fulfillment activities that you do. Let's share some of those in the chat, right? And Sasha said, sleep is important and we ought to treat it as is. I have started doing that in April. Doc was saying I do journaling too a lot. I find that journaling is such a fulfilling activity. It really, you know, it's such an inspiration to me, like what I'm hearing. One of the things that we as coach talk about is like noticing what you're noticing, or paying attention to your thoughts and what you're thinking. I realize that when I journal, I am able, it's like I'm having a conversation with myself. And oftentimes, as I'm capturing that, I can take into captivity some of the negative thoughts. As you begin to write and you spend that quiet time, it's very therapeutic. And Darko, I hope it's okay. I just literally I'm going to release a book around journaling, your gratitude and your prayers and so on. It's something that I've been thinking about for a while, and I've actually decided, you know what, I'm gonna share some ideas about how people can actually do. I've been doing this for years, and I often go back to see which prayer was answered, or what I do in that time when I'm connecting with my spiritual side, and the revelations and that inspiration that comes in these quiet moments. And then you actually see the manifestation and you're thinking, oh my goodness, I wrote that down. And you go back through, you read through and you check the date and you like tick. And it's a way to build your faith and also your hope that things actually do work out when you're in sync and you're in alignment with your own purpose. Juliet is saying, get rid of your phone. It's great advice. Reading before bed and journaling gives me a good night rest and good dreams. I love that. This is also a good time for writing inspirations in the journal. So I'm really encouraging us engage in hobbies of interest, and whether it's reading, gardening, sports, or journaling. It's a very fulfilling and inspirational activity that really gets your spirit alive. Now, for those of us who are working in companies, most companies, especially the larger companies or the well-established companies, will have some kind of workplace well-being program. If you don't have anything outside, because somebody might be saying, I don't know where to find, there might be something at work. And the demands of your job may require you to be working in different locations, traveling or remotely, but take advantage of whatever is available and encourage or participate in well-being programs if your organization offers them. Now, the next point I want to make is building your support networks. Support, support, support. None of us, we are not islands. I know a lot of people who go into this Lone Ranger thing. There's a time for it, but this Lone Ranger thing is not going to help you because, most of us, it doesn't matter your background, a lot of us will say it takes a village, right? It takes a village. And for us as parents, we know it really does take a village, right? It's important for us to build those positive relationships and surround ourselves with positive influences that can help us stay motivated and focused. I encourage you, seek out relationships that challenge you to grow and eliminate the toxic associations that hinder progress. So what I find out, there was a time in my life when I had so many people around me, but I also realized that people were always taking. But these people who take the most never give anything. They're never there to cheer you on. They're never there to support you. And anytime you're trying to get a leg up, they're the first person to bring the dissuasion. They're the first ones to say, oh, why are you doing that? Because toxic people thrive in toxicity. And so if you're trying to step up or to get a move on, these people don't want to see you leave them in that situation. So they're always looking for an opportunity to pull you back into that place of stagnation, right? And then you have the ones that we call the black crabs, right? And pardon me, this is probably more of a Jamaican saying. Crabs have a tendency, if you put them in a barrel, and they have the capacity to get out. But what will happen is as they build that bridge and they get to the top, the ones below will pull the others down and you cannot get anywhere. This black crab syndrome or the crab's mentality is something that really affects us. There are people who are complacent and they're happy to be where they are. They have no intention of moving forward. The moment you decide that I'm going to do something to change my life, They are not going to let you just move like that. So you have to be intentional. You have to really decide, am I making a move or not? And then you have to decide that some of these people will just have to be left behind. I encourage you to focus on the relationships that challenges you and encourages you to grow. In this, we all have our loved ones, whether it's your partner, it can also be your children. For me, my children are growing up now, and I'm finding out that I'm starting to help them to understand that I want to lean on them. For example, my older daughter, she's really good at social media and she's quite creative. Now, instead of me doing all my social media stuff, I'm actually delegating a few stuff and asking her, can you help me with this? I'm starting to do that. I'm starting to do that because I also want my daughter to see that I value her creativity and her skill, and that I consider that what she does is of such quality that mom is okay with it, right? I created a lead magnet the other day for some of my clients. I was creating this book that I was giving away for free. But I know that she needs the skills, and I thought it's a great idea. So I created my content, but I wanted to do some creative stuff, and I delegated that to my daughter, and she was really happy to support me. And of course, there are other little incentives. Yes, Cooper, there are there are incentives. I make sure that I also demonstrate that I value that time and that support by making sure there are incentives. All right. So lean on loved ones for support and open communication about your challenges and your wins. Right. I find too that it's good to be able to share some of the challenges with people you genuinely believe love you and they want your best interest. And sometimes I find that by just sharing that, just by speaking it out or sharing it with a loved one or trusted friend, as you are sharing it, oftentimes the answer comes in that moment. So I truly encourage us, not just with the verbal sharing, but also get people to lighten the load. When my children joined me in Australia, and it was just me, and then my family multiplied, I leaned a lot on my community. I had to lean on other people so that I was still able to do some of the things that I loved and wanted to continue. Seek out mentorship and professional networks. Mentors who have successfully achieved work-life harmony and learn from their experiences. Engaging community or social groups that align with your interests to expand your support network. Some of the things that we are sharing on platforms like these help us to understand things better. For example, someone might be up here that says, I have been struggling with my time management, but today I've learned that there's a simple way that I can make a list and prioritize, and then I tick things off. Cooper is saying that last week I ticked off the last item on a list I wrote in 2022. But that's really great because you actually had a list. What about if you did not have that list? Maybe that thing would not have been ticked off because it was nowhere on your radar. So it's really important. Engaging with mentors is very important. Thank you, Darko. So I want to kind of bring this down to a close, and I really hope that we can have a bit of discussion about some of these points in the next 3 or so minutes. The main final topic I want to mention is dedicating yourself to continuous learning and improvement. The journey to success involves continual learning and self-improvement. One of the reasons why I believe I have been successful in managing multiple businesses, multiple hobbies, supporting multiple people as a coach and a mentor, and being able to partner and support friends like Darko and Jennifer in what they're doing is because of my desire to always learn more. Because when I'm with these people, I'm learning from them as much as they are learning from me. This means being open to new ideas, seeking knowledge, and continually refining our skills. We can dedicate time each day to reading, learning, reflecting, as I mentioned before. I mentioned earlier about spending that time on my journey to work. one of the things that I do is I feed my soul, I feed myself with inspiration from people who are ahead of me. I listen to what the people who have succeeded, those who have achieved where I'm planning to go. I listen to them. I hear what they've done. I find strategies. I find encouragement. And, and I do this every single day. I make time in my day to feed myself and learn. I gather nuggets and tools and I get insights and I adapt those and I implement them in my daily walk. I really want to encourage us to adopt an attitude of continuous learning. This ongoing commitment to personal growth ensures that we are always evolving and adapting to new challenges and opportunities. And this can identify where and how to strike the right balance between the different demands of personal life and work life. So, in summary, I just wanted to recap. It is important to understand that work life harmony means understand what work life harmony means to you. Your work life harmony will look very different from mine, and it will look different from everyone else on this platform. But it is important that we are setting clear priorities, make sure we set up those boundaries, maintain a flexible schedule for anything that may pop up as a critical or urgent emergency, prioritize self care, build a strong and supportive network, and invest into continuous learning and self improvement. So, as I bring this to a close, I want to share just few quick action steps that we can take away from here today. Start by assessing your current work life balance this week and identify one area to improve, even by 10%, whether that is your time management or whether that is prioritization, whatever it is. It's important to balance your life. It's very critical to understand the importance of rest and recovery. Incorporating regular breaks into your routine to recharge and rejuvenate is very important. Ensure there's adequate sleep and engage in activities that relax and refresh you. Understand that rest is not a sign of weakness, but a necessity. It's a very necessary component of success. So, in closing, remember, achieving work-life harmony is an ongoing journey, and it looks different for you from what mine looks like. But as we do this, celebrate the small wins along the way and remain patient with yourself. Take your time, and I wish you all a harmonious and fulfilling life. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you to Darko and Jennifer for this invitation to share with the group. And Dr. Stephanie, I really loved your presentation because you mentioned engaging with mentors and building our support network and also surrounding ourselves with positive people. And all of that have to do with diversity because all these people are different, but they are contributing to what we want to achieve and where we want to go. So thanks for sharing that. Now, welcome to this evening's exploration of beauty in differences. In a world where we're often encouraged to conform and fit in, it's easy to overlook the unique qualities that make each of us special. But what if I told you that our differences are not something to be hidden or to be ashamed of, but rather something to be celebrated? That the very thing that makes us different are actually the sources of our greatest strength, creativity, and beauty. Now, today we are going to explore the beauty in diversity. We'll delve into the ways in which our differences enrich our lives, foster innovation, and creativity. My name is Winifred, and I am a children's author, I have published 2 books, Adventures in Beautiful Jamaica and My Adventures in Shenzhen. I'm also the author of 2 anthologies, Fimi Jamaica, Land of Wood and Water, and The Dragon's Pen, which is a poetic exploration of China's culture and landscape. And those will be out very soon. Now, I'm also a teacher, and I've taught in Jamaica, England, and now I'm in China. I am a proud grandmother of 2 grandchildren, sorry. And I'm also the founder of Leg Academy, which is an academy that seeks to teach, empower, and support others in growing. Now, I would like to tell you about my journey. Now, here I have Dream and that little girl next to Dream. Now, she's my granddaughter. And last year when she turned 6, I just thought about my life, and I looked back and I thought about when I was 6 years old. I thought about all the dreams that I had. And I realized that I was not fulfilling my dreams. I love to write. I love to read as a little girl. But last year, I realized that I was not doing any of that. So then her birthday and she turning 6 really gave me that push that, Winifred, you know what? You need to get back your dream and make it a reality. And so that resulted in me completing my first book, My Adventure in Shenzhen, and publishing it in November, then moving on to publishing my second book in June of this year. Now, let's go into my personal story. This is a school that I worked at in London, and there were teachers from 27 different countries, very diverse, but we worked with each other and supported each other so much in that after I left that school 11 years ago, and many of us are still friends on WhatsApp and Facebook. And that only goes to show the bond that we built, although it was such a diverse school. Yes, Jennifer? Now, let's think about, what if our differences weren't something to be tolerated, but something to be celebrated? What if our unique perspectives and experiences were the keys to unlocking creativity, innovation, and our progress? What if? Let's just think about that just for a few seconds. Now, I would like to share a story with you entitled The Garden of Unity. Once upon a time, in a small village, there was a beautiful garden filled with identical flowers, all white, all the same shape, and all blooming at the same time. The villagers thought it was perfect, but one day, a wise old gardener suggested introducing different flowers to the garden. At first, the villagers were hesitant, fearing the new flowers would disrupt the harmony, but the gardener assured them that diversity would bring new life and beauty to the garden. Slowly, they introduced flowers of different colors, shapes, and sizes. Some bloomed in spring, others in summer, and some in autumn. The garden transformed into a vibrant tapestry of colors and texture. As the villagers tended to the garden, they discovered that the different flowers attracted various pollinators, increasing the garden's fertility, and the diverse root systems helped the soil retain water and nutrients. The varied blooms provided a constant display of beauty, as something was always in flower. Now, I would like you to tell me, who do you think was happier? Was it the garden or the villagers? What do you think? Can you open your mics or share in the chat? Who do you think was the happiest? Yeah? Cooper said that she thinks that everyone was happy. Well, I believe that everyone was really happy. I agree with that. Because then the villagers, darker thinks the garden, okay? Now, the villagers realized that the garden diversity was a strength because the garden got everything that it needed. And they learned to approach and celebrate their differences, just like the flowers. Now, the moral of this story is that just like the garden, our communities and organizations flourish when we embrace diversity. Now, what's one skill or talent that you have might surprise people? Okay, some of the skills that we might have, empathetic and supportive. Excellent, Doctor. Now, some other possible skills that we could have could be hidden languages. Some of us, we can speak our dialect from our country, or we can speak a little of many different languages. Some of us might have excellent musical talents that, other people don't know about. We can be excellent cooks. We can cook a special dish that no one else can. Maybe we can solve that Rubik's Cube very quickly. And we might even be experts at some specific video or board games. And Jay says, I can do almost anything of a practical nature with my hands. Excellent, Jay. Chinese, Juliet Chinese classical dance. That's one thing I would love to learn. And Sophia writes good poems, at least that's what she thinks. That is a skill, that's a talent. Excellent. Sophia. Now, I would like to share a poem, Harmony in Diversity. A tapestry so fine and strong, woven from threads of different song. Each strand unique, yet blending free, creating beauty for all to see. Inclusion arms open wide and bright, embracing all with love and light. No one left out, no one alone. Together we shine like stars in the zone. Diversity colors vibrant and bold, painting a picture young and old. Different cultures, backgrounds, and views, enriching our world with perspectives anew. Inclusion's voice whispering low and clear, you belong, you matter, you are there. Breaking down barriers built to divide, building bridges where love will reside. Let's celebrate our differences with glee, and find common ground where we can be free. In this dance of diversity and inclusion sway, we'll find a bright tomorrow starting today. And on that note, I want us to think about understanding what diversity is. Now, what are some examples of diversity in your life? What are your differences? What are some of our differences? And we have different beliefs, different views and perspectives about things. One person's Jamaican, one person is Jamaican, and their husband is Ghanaian. So she speaks Patois and her husband speaks Striganian dialects. We're different in terms of the languages, our skills, our cultures, and other beliefs, and also in our ability and age. Dr. Stephanie mentioned her daughter or son who is below 10. And here I am with a granddaughter that is 6 years old. So we're also different. We could go on. Now, I would like us to talk about our cultural diversity. Now, what is diversity really? Diversity refers to the presence of different groups of individuals with unique characteristics, experiences, and backgrounds within a community, organization, or society. And this includes all the differences that we referred to before, or race, gender, age, ability, culture, language, beliefs, etc. Now, when we think about our cultural diversity, we are thinking about our family traditions and customs, our friends from different cultural backgrounds, and celebrating different holidays, different traditions, and different customs. When we think about our linguistic diversity, we're talking about speaking multiple languages. We're also thinking about our friends who speak different languages, our partners who speak different languages, and also us learning new languages. Now, our age diversity refers to the different friends we have. We can have younger friends, we can have older friends. We are all diverse. We can learn from each other. We can mentor each other. Our abilities and our disabilities are different. Friends have different abilities and disabilities, and we can learn and access different things by being with different friends from different age group, different backgrounds, and with different abilities. Our geographical diversity is a big one for us who are here in China and for other persons who are in different parts of the world. So living in or visiting different cities is a very important diversity that we should all try to experience. And learning about different environments is very important. Now, how does diversity benefit us? It promotes creativity and innovation. It enhances problem solving. It fosters empathy and understanding. And it strengthens community. Here we are as a community in different parts of the world, different abilities, but we have a strong group. And finally, it enhances education. We are here learning from each other in these diverse groups. Now, when I think of diversity and I think about the two books that I've published, My Adventure in Shenzhen and Adventures in Beautiful Jamaica, I reflect on four things that are different about China and Jamaica. I think about the music, our traditions, our customs, and arts. Now, Jamaica has the reggae music. China has the classical Chinese music. We have our different art form. China has calligraphy. Jamaica, we have our pottery, and we have our carving, and we have our knitting. And in China, we have, when we think about our cultural norms and our customs, Jamaica, we have our colorful Jamaican traditional wear, and the Chinese, there are so many different provinces, and they all have different traditions and different clothes that they wear. Now, in terms of economic growth, Jamaica and China have a close-knit way the economy is concerned. And we share a lot of things and we learn from each other and we exchange people and share our diversity. So that's very important. It enriches our lives, it contributes to economic growth, and it contributes to our cultural exchanges. Now, how does cultural diversity enrich our lives? It breaks down stereotypes because, for example, Jamaicans being in China and Chinese people being in Jamaica makes us aware of the different people that make up the two countries, which shows something completely different from what we might see on television. Now, diversity also reveals individuality. We are able to show who we are by mixing with other people and interacting with other people. It encourages our creativity and innovation. So I'm at work, I might have to be teaching the students how to make a Jamaican, well, how to sew something or how to weave the way we do it in Jamaica. But if I was not in China, I wouldn't have been able to share that skill. So cultural diversity is very important for us to understand each other and to empathize with each other. Now, I want us to think of a scenario that many of us who are living in different countries would have experienced or might have experienced in some form. Now, imagine that you're a manager at a multinational company in China with employees from various countries, including China, India, the US, and Brazil. Your team is working on a project with a tight deadline. The situation is one of your team members, Rohan from India, has been absent from work for several days due to Diwali celebrations. Another team member, Maria from Brazil, has been working remotely due to visa issues. Meanwhile, your Chinese colleagues are preparing for Chinese New Year and may need time off for family gatherings. Now, the challenge that we have as the manager, how do we balance the different cultural needs and expectations of our team members, but ensuring that we meet the project deadline? This is important. What do we do? What can we do? I also have some suggestions there requiring all team members to work on site during the project period, regardless of cultural celebrations, which I don't think would be popular with many. Another suggestion could be allowing flexible work arrangement for team members to observe their cultural holidays, as you mentioned, Jennifer. And depending on what the project is, we could set up virtual meetings and collaborations to accommodate remote work. So there are different ways that it can be that this problem, well, not problem, this diversity can be addressed. Yes, and to add to that, Nadine, one thing I always do at the beginning is to let the children know that we are all different, we all have different needs, and we are all good at different things. And I usually use my example of not being able to speak Chinese. So yes, that communication at the beginning, very important. And active listening to each other, finding that common ground, using nonverbal cues, that eye contact to get people involved in conversation, using inclusive language. So we speak in such a way that we don't let any group feel like they are not a part of this. So creating that safe space, that safe community to say, okay, it's okay for you to contribute. It's okay for you to speak. You are welcome here. And creating opportunities, creating these opportunities constantly. So that's very important for people to feel included. And inclusion is a practice of creating that environment where everyone feels valued, respected, and supported, regardless of background, identity, ability, culture, or perspective. Just making people feel like they belong and they can be themselves in this environment. And that will lead to problems being solved easier, and people being supported in their growth. Now, in the interest of time, I'm just going to briefly talk about embracing physical differences. Now, this family, if we could go back to the family, this is one family, a Jamaican family. If you notice, they are all different in different ways, but they're a family that I was told, one member of this family is in China, and I was told a couple of years ago that this family is very supportive of each other, regardless of how different they all look. So embracing physical differences is very important. This helps us to accept ourselves as we are, celebrate the different size and shape of our bodies and our different abilities and appearances. It's important to celebrate physical differences. And I just want to share this quote from Simonia Lotomeyer. She says, the beauty of diversity is that it brings different perspectives, ideas, and experiences to the table, making us stronger and more resilient as a whole. Now, she is a disabled person. She has type 1 diabetes, but she's also a Puerto Rican, but she's a Supreme Court, she has served in the Supreme Court in America, and she was the first woman to hold that, the third woman to hold that position, although she's disabled. How do you think your individuality contributes to the world around you? I'm just going to leave that for us to think about. But our individuality makes us unique. That's very important. We need to remember that regardless of anything. We are unique, we are different, we're special, and we make a difference. Yes, next slide. Okay, I just want to share a quick joke. Let's go to the joke. How did diversity go to the party? Why did diversity go to the party? Sorry. Anyone wants to try answering that? Okay. Because it was a melting pot of fun. So it's like mixing different cultures and backgrounds together. Okay. Why did the diverse group of friends start a band? Band, diverse group of friends. Any ideas? Any ideas? Okay, because they wanted to make some harmonious differences. Band, harmony. Okay. And the third one, why did the inclusive workplace have the best team spirit? The best team spirit. Think about a team, workplace, inclusive. Because they embraced their differences and made them a strength. Team, together, we're stronger. Okay?
Yes.
Hope you enjoyed my jokes. Um, if I just talk about my books, so my adventures in Jamaica, in beautiful Jamaica, it's about a family, a Chinese family who went on vacation in Jamaica, and they enjoy the music, the food, the custom, and the culture, everything about Jamaica. And they had a wonderful experience that they brought back to China. My adventures in Shenzhen, I was living in Shenzhen at the time, and I was just thinking about everything that I was enjoying around me, and hence me writing about my adventures in Shenzhen. Now, I would love you to read my books, buy my books. They are available on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles, and I'm sure that you'll enjoy them. I would also recommend them to persons who are in different countries so that they can introduce Jamaica to people in a fun way. I can be contacted on WeChat, WhatsApp, and I will share my contact in different groups. My anthology of poems will be coming out soon, and the one Fimi Jamaica, is about everything concerning Jamaica in poetic form. And I have also written about China in the same way. And I plan to publish the one in China in Chinese as well. I'm working on that. But I'm getting my students to learn the poems. I'm testing them out with them. Okay, next. Okay, so the key takeaway that I would like us to take from today's presentation is that diversity is what makes us unique and beautiful. Inclusion is key to creating a sense of belonging, and celebrating our differences enriches our lives. I strongly believe these three things. And my final thought on that is that we should embrace our differences and celebrate those together, because together it will make a beautiful world. It won't be perfect, but it will be beautiful.
In February 2024, we embarked on a transformative journey in the heart of Bali, where minds were empowered, connections were built, and breakthroughs were achieved.
Hey guys, we're here having the time of our life. The time of our life. It's a combination of learning new stuff and celebrating all the growth and the transformation we've had this year.
As the sun set on our time in Bali, a new adventure awaits us in Chiang Mai, 2025.
Hey, a couple of important things if you want to come down to get the most out of this. I ask everyone to make a shopping list before coming here, a shopping list. New behaviors, new beliefs, perhaps value systems, or maybe a whole new identity. So before everyone comes, they create a bit of a wish list, a bit of a shopping list. And while we're here, we make it happen. Now that pre-course, we actually include a lot of our, like the training that we sell for thousands of dollars, we actually include that in a lot of our training. So when you come along, you're gonna get access to that and go through it and make this trip absolutely dynamite for you.
Join us as we continue our journey of growth and transformation. Together, we thrive. See you in Chiang Mai.